Right, so we're going to learn how to factorise or relearn how to factorise single brackets here. So we've got 4x plus 4. Now factorising is just the opposite of expanding. So you can always check your answers by expanding back. But a key thing that you need to know is you have to use the highest common factor. So what's the highest common factor here? Well, the factors are 1, 2 and 4 of these numbers, correct? So the highest common factor is 4. So you take the 4 out and it's a single bracket. So how are we going to get the 4x the first term? So that's just going to be x plus, now you could write a 4 here, but that's wrong because what's 4 times what makes 4, and that's just a 1. And you can see why it's the opposite, because 4x, you expand that out, that'd be 4x plus 4, and that's factorised. Now, this is a common misconception, which should be wrong, is you might think the highest common factor is 2, and then you can write 2x plus 2 here, and if you expand that, that will still be 4x plus 4, but that's not correct because that's not fully simplified, because this is the correct one. That's just the rules of factorising. So the highest common factor between 15 and 20 is 5. So we're actually practicing the highest common factor skills here. So 5. 5 times what makes a number 15, and that's 3. So to get that to become 15x, you just put the x there. Now 5 times what makes this term plus 20, so it is plus 4. Double check by expanding it back. That's going to be 15x, and 5 times 4 is plus 20, so you know you're correct. Now this is a triple letter bracket, but it can go into a single bracket if you get a question like this. So the highest common factor here is 3. So 3 has to go on the outside. So we've got 3. How are we going to get the x in? That's just x, because that times that is going to give us the 3x. So we need to get the number 6. So 3 times 2 is 6. Add the y in. If you expand that out, you'll get 6y. And now you can see this is a negative sign here, so we know we've got to get a negative 3z, and that will be the correct answer, because if you was to expand that out, you'll get 3x plus 6y minus 9z. I hope that really helps you. Now here's a mixture of questions to try. I mean, you'll rarely get a question like blue, so you don't have to do blue, that's just an extension. So I'll just do 1 of 8 from question here. So the highest common factor of these two numbers is 12. So this is good for your number skills. How are we going to get the k? Well, we'll just put k here. So 12 times k gives us the 12k. Now we've got a minus. 12 times what is going to get us the minus 36. Well, that's got to be a minus 3, and we add the m, and that will be the correct answer. So let's do question 8 here. The highest common factor of 18, 12 and 36 is actually 6. So that's got to be 6 on the outside. Put the 3k in here to get the 18k, plus 2m, because 6 times 2 will give us the 12m, and minus 6 at the end to get us the minus 36. And that is done. So the key is to get the highest common factor. If it's not the highest common factor, it's incorrect, and it has to be the highest common factor of each number. So pause the video now, and so answers are here, and really well done if you've got that skill, and now you've consolidated it really well. Now here's a plenary. Pause the video and give that a go, see if you can do that. And I'm going to show you the answers now. Perfect. If you got that right, that's really test your skills. So here we go. Which one is correct? So I'm showing you this. And which is the best answer and why? Well, it's, even though if you expand all three of these, you will get the right answer. But the only correct one is this one, because that's the highest common factor out of both. These are not acceptable answers because they're not the highest common factor. Perfect. Now we're going to move on to more challenging questions. So the highest common factor here is x. So we take the x on the outside. So what x times what is going to give us the x squared? So that's just x. And then how are we going to get 2x? So x times what makes 2x? So that's just plus 2. Double check your answer in the exam. X times x is x squared. X times 2 is plus 2x. Perfect. So this one. So here, even though you've got two numbers, the highest common factor of 5 and 9 is actually just 1. So you would just take the x out. And highest factor of x is just x, so just take the x out. How do we get 5x cubed? So we've got to have a 5x squared here. And just the plus the 9. If you expand it out, that would be perfect. And that would equal that answer. Done. Now, you could get thrown off like a question like this. But the highest common factor here is still actually 1 for the numbers, but can you see the highest common factor of x squared is x squared? So we want to take the x squared outside the bracket. So how are we going to make the first term here, 5x squared? Well, we put a 5 in. Plus, now we've got to be careful here, but I'll show you later, plus 6x squared. So that's going to be 6y, because that's going to give us 6x squared. And now you're going to do plus 3 to get the 3x squared. Now you might think that's correct, but it's not correct, because can you see you can simplify the 5 plus the 3, so that answer is actually x squared plus 8 plus 6y. So sometimes you just have to check if you can simplify the original terms, because you can add like terms. So 5x squared plus 3x squared is actually 8 lots of x squared plus 6x squared. And that's why you can't do this, because I'm going to show you now. And that's 6x squared y, sorry. So what's the highest common factor of 8 and 6? Is actually 2. So you take the 2 out, and you've got the x squared here. So you take the x squared out. So that'd be 2x squared. So how are we going to make the 8? That's just a 4. 4 times 2 is 8, and you're going to get the 4x squared there. Plus, how are we going to get the 6? Or 2 times 3 makes the 6. We've got the x squared here, so that's perfect. So we just need to add the y. And that's the correct answer. So I would always say simplify first. If you can, just double check that, because that in theory would be correct, but you're not taking highest common factor out, because you can take the 2 out of this to put 2x squared here, then the 4 plus 3y before it's correct. So I'm just showing you that because that's a common error you can make. So I would simplify first to stop you making a mistake like that. So mixture of questions that you can try is the number is 1, but the highest letter power is k. So we just take the k out. How are we going to get 18k cubed? So that's just going to be 18k squared. Be careful with the minus sign, and that will just be minus 7. Let's choose one where there will be common factors, but there are none here. But this is still a good skill. So The highest common factor for the number here is 1. So we don't need to write the number 1. But can you see the highest amount of k that goes into both is k, and the highest amount of m in both is m. So that will be km on the outside, but we need to get 12k squared, so that's got to be a 12k here. Multiply that out, that will give us 12k squared m. Now we've got the minus sign, we've got the k and the m here, but we need km squared and we need the 5, so that will just be minus 5m. Done. So just pause the video, give that a go. I'm going to show you the answers now. Those are the answers, so well done if you've got that. And this is just to practice the skill of taking the letter out. Spot the mistake on the plenary, and I hope you've done that. Pause the video and I'm going to go through that. Well, you could check this by just expanding it, and you know that's just going to be a times I is plus 5a, and that equals 6a, and that's not what we want, right? So the highest common factor here is the a, and to get a squared that would be a, and plus 5, that will be the correct answer. Perfect.